Biden and Xi Jinping, the big meeting in San Francisco. Biden telling Xi that tensions must not veer into conflict. Xi telling Biden planet Earth is big enough for both countries to succeed. Well, the two leaders are meeting on the fringes of the APEC summit. It's taking place in San Francisco. Let's get some analysis of the situation. We're joined by Alessio Patalano, Associate Professor in East Asian Warfare and Strategy at King's College. Alessio, thanks for joining us. As always, a pleasure to see you. These two have a lot to discuss. There are many points where they disagree. Taiwan just being one of them.
Yes, indeed. And I think this is one of the reasons why the first thing to say about the meeting is that success is measured by the fact that they met, they got together and they started to put on the table all the list of issues, a very long list of issues, of which Taiwan is one. But there are others that concern China's expanding nuclear arsenal, the economic competition, the fragility of supply chains, the slow bouncing back of world economy and the changing dynamics inside of China. These are all elements of a very complicated and complex conversation that certainly indicates that at the very least the fact that they are meeting is an important step.
Indeed, an important step. Other issues, of course, Ukraine, very important to both. No one quite certain what China's position really is. Factually in Ukraine, there's that situation. Biden, I imagine, looking for some kind of clarification for Xi Jinping.
Yes, although we have to be absolutely careful about the fact that this is also a situation whereby both the Chinese and the American leader, they are measuring each other up in light of the new circumstances. Xi Jinping's saying the world is big enough for the both of us is a clear opening towards having a sign from the American administration that is a recognition that China stands on equal terms with the United States, something that Xi Jinping had tried already towards the end of the second Obama administration. Biden, on the other hand, coming to this meeting to get clarification on issues such as Ukraine or indeed even China's position on the war in the Middle East. But at the same time, he doesn't want to look as is waiting for China's support in any of this, because that would inevitably suggest to Xi that it is a time in which the American leadership is under question again, and there is an opportunity to be seized. So here what we're looking at is a situation whereby critical issues such as Ukraine are discussed, but we need to be very cautious about expectations in terms of advancing substantively on the agenda, because at the end of the day, this is a meeting that is first and foremost about sizing each other up.
Indeed, hear exactly what you're saying. But over the past year, anybody who's observing the situation has probably seen and heard Mao Ning, the spokesperson for the Chinese government, stand up and say that China will not be pushed on any issue. That said, and business being business, perhaps Biden has a little bit more leverage than most people are in the world to actually talk to Xi Jinping and maybe somehow shape what happens next.
100%, and I think one of the key points here is that one of the few elements of more substantive conversation is the one concerning climate change and the future, if you want, of sustainable economic development. This is something that they can talk about. They both recognize, they both feel strongly about, and it becomes an opportunity to start having a conversation as a way to create further opportunity. The second element is to reestablish some level of military communication in between the two military organizations from the two countries. And again, here is a situation whereby the United States, notwithstanding the commitments globally, still remain a power that is seen in China as a formidable opponent. And so in that sense, there is a sense of advantage. And the Chinese have realized that particularly in the Indo-Pacific, their more assertive posture, their more assertive actions have not materialized in the type of results that we're hoping for, which is de facto their capacity to become the hegemonic leader, if you want, in the region. That has not happened. So the United States still has some measure of advantage in pushing the Chinese to see value into these conversations.
I started with Taiwan. I'm going to finish with Taiwan. Biden said, of course, very clearly that if China makes a move on Taiwan, the US will defend it. That sounds like a bit more than just saber rattling. It sounds like the US saying it would actually respond should China invade Taiwan. And of course, that menace is still there. The aircraft being flown over, the possibility of maneuvers, all manner of things that makes Taiwan fear what happens next. Is that situation going to be diffused at all in this meeting, do you think?
I don't think it's going to be diffused at all, but it is very important that Xi Jinping meets with Biden to get a sense of what Biden means when he points out very clearly that any move over Taiwan would see an American response. Here we're not talking about strategic clarity versus strategic ambiguity. We're talking about shifting the ambiguity, not over the fact that the United States would do something, but what exactly would do. That complicates the thinking for Xi Jinping, and it creates the situation by which it raises the risks of higher costs for Xi Jinping, with the hope that that will prompt him to come back to a more sort of de-escalatory conversation, hard as it's going to be. So in this respect, I think we will see over the next few months the results of this meeting, whether it has managed to shift, if you want, the balance of the conversation away from one in which we're gauging assertiveness to one whereby dialogue and conversations are again part of the core elements of moving forward. That said, with elections in Taiwan coming up in January, we might see still some more action. And perhaps that is the reason behind which Biden is very clear about the US position when it comes to cross-strait relations.
Alessio Patalano, it's always a pleasure to speak to you. Your clarity on these subjects is much appreciated. Associate Professor in East Asian Warfare and Strategy at King's College. Alessio, thanks for joining us.